much in the way of storms. We'll be watching some spot storms over the higher terrain. Same kind of setup tomorrow. Mostly sunny with still some spot showers over the mountains. But by Thursday, starting to see a little bit more activity over to the north, but not until Friday or Saturday will we see those.
Alexander Tungsten to the 2-minute and 9-second mark.
Okay.
Would you agree with me that this video depicts you and Officer Hernandez creating distance?
Yes.
And you did so in order to create a safety barrier between you and Mr. Boyd?
Correct.
And you would agree with me that there is a high-end show of force that is aiming the weapon at Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
And why is that done?
Because he's still threatening us with our lives, with the knives.
Now, what words specifically is Mr. Boyd using to threaten your lives?
He's saying he's going to kill us.
How is Mr. Boyd saying those words?
He's angry. He's yelling them at us.
As you heard those words and saw the expression on Mr. Boyd's face, did you have any doubts as to whether he was sincere in carrying out the threats he made against you?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
I think this is proper lay opinion. I'll allow the answer to stand overruled.
Now, at about 5:01 p.m., you asked the radio operator to clear the air, is that right?
Yes.
So, when it says air is 10-3, what does that mean?
It's just so nobody else will get on the radio and talk, and the air is basically clear for our transmissions and the people responding to that call.
Why do you clear the air in a situation like the one that you faced?
If we have an emergency, we can get on the air quicker without somebody interrupting.
Now I'd like to play for you another portion of your video, the negotiations that you and Officer Hernandez had with Mr. Boyd. I'm specifically playing from what is marked as Exhibit B4 from your taser video, the time 7:40 to 9:15, and we're also referring to the transcript, which we have marked as Exhibit D1, and we are going from page 15, line 8, to page 17, line 16, and that's what we're going to present to the court at this time.
Okay.
How long have you done this? Good? Enjoying it? Well, like that is? Good. You got food? Okay. Right. No, not right now. I would have my room. If I have too much coffee, you know, I can get a little dinner. No, I don't want to do that. All right. So your phone there, huh? Okay. Yeah, I think I would assume so. Okay. All right. Well, we involved in camping, and we're open things open, and we all it open Christmas. We control.
So after Mr. Boyd threatened your knives with lives, you and Officer Hernandez began the process of establishing a dialogue with Mr. Boyd, is that right?
Yes.
You and Officer Hernandez went from giving orders to drop the knife to asking him Mr. Boyd questions about his welfare.
Yes.
Despite the fact that Mr. Boyd wasn't necessarily responsive, you sought to find out information from him that you could use to try and de-escalate the situation.
Yes.
So despite the fact that Mr. Boyd threatened your lives, you still wanted to work with him and try to find a peaceful resolution to this standoff with him.
Yes.
Now, again, while you were interacting and negotiating with Mr. Boyd, how would Mr. Boyd continue to threaten you all with the knives?
He kept them out, and he stated he wanted to kill us.
With the court's permission, I'd like the witnesses to demonstrate how Mr. Boyd threatened the officers after that initial encounter and now that they're starting to negotiate with him.
Okay.
If you would you please demonstrate how Mr. Boyd was threatening you?
He would just hold the knives out, and he would start to walk towards us, and then we'd tell him to stop. Then he'd stop, he'd back up, and he just kept going at us, back and forth.
When Mr. Boyd approached you, aside from telling him to stop, what did you do to show him that he needed to stop?
What did we do to show him?
Yes, in terms of a show of force.
Oh, well, we pointed our weapons at him,
Okay.
and then we'd tell him to drop the knives.
Now, was that high-end show of force, drawing a weapon in Mr. Boyd's direction, sufficient to stop him from approaching you?
It seemed to be working sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Now, at about 5:08, that's when Sergeant Jason Carpenter and Officer Christopher Wetterlin arrived, is that right?
Yes.
Now, when Sergeant Carpenter arrived, what did you tell him and Officer Wetterlin about what Mr. Boyd had done to you?
We explained to him that he threatened us with the knives. He had 2 knives in his hands.
Now, at this time, I'd like to play another portion of the video which has been marked Exhibit B1 from 11:51 to 12:38, and also referring to Exhibit D1, which is the transcript of that video, page 20, line 7 to page 22, line 3.
No, put the knife down. Put the knife down. You have to put the knife down. Have to. Okay, you got it? We want this to go through there. I don't want anything about it. For us to do that, we need to deal with possibilities, right? I'm going to tell you right now. If you get too close, you're going to get feedback. Okay? Okay.
Now, that was a portion of the audio, although because the video doesn't really show it, where Mr. Boyd was told to not to get any closer or he would be beanbagged.
Correct.
Now, from what you were able to observe from Mr. Boyd's behavior and reaction, how well was he able to understand those commands?
It appeared he understood, but he still came forward.
At this time, I'd like to play yet another portion of Exhibit B4, which is the Alexander fixed-in video. And I'm asking to play minute 10 to minute 11:02.
Okay.
Now in that video, and more importantly, based on your recollection, what did Mr. Boyd have in his hands as he was approaching the officer?
With knives.
And how was Mr. Boyd holding those knives?
Just give me a display. Sure. Had him in his hands like this.
Objection, Your Honor, best evidence.
I'm sorry, what was your objection?
Best evidence.
I'll
video.
allow them to demonstrate it, counsel.
He had him in this manner.
Okay, so Mr. Boyd had the knives in his hands with the blades open and the blades essentially pointing towards the officers he was approaching.
Yes.
You can take a seat. Now, there came a time when a CIT officer named Officer Monet arrived on scene, is that right?
Yes.
And you knew that he was a crisis intervention team officer.
Yes.
And that officer attempted to negotiate with Mr. Boyd.
Yes.
And you were there and present and witnessed that attempt at negotiations. Is that fair?
Yes.
Now I'd like to play, once again, Exhibit B1 from 1838 to 2449, and also refer to Exhibit D1, the transcript, and from page 30, line 13, to page 37, line 9.
Negative on BA, negative on Bob.
You witnessed Officer Monet speak to Mr. Boyd,
Yes.
and you also witnessed Mr. Boyd's reaction and responses to Officer Monet.
Yes.
Now, based on those observations, is it fair to say that Officer Monet attempted to establish a dialogue with Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
And in fact, Officer Monet attempted to establish a rapport with him.
Correct.
He asked questions about how long you've been in this area. Is that right?
Yes.
Asked about Mr. Boyd's water needs, his hunger, basic human needs. Is that right?
Yes.
At all times, Officer Monet tried to explain to Mr. Boyd that a conversation really couldn't take place until he put down the knives. Is that a fair statement?
Correct.
And that in return for Mr. Boyd cooperating with the officers and putting away the knives, he could be given a voucher where he could stay in a motel for a week.
Yes.
Now, what did Mr. Boyd do in response to those requests, those questions, and those efforts by Officer Monet to try and de-escalate the situation and resolve it in a peaceful manner?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
What was Mr. Boyd's response to Officer Monet's efforts to try and resolve this incident in a peaceful manner?
He wasn't willing to negotiate.
At this time, I'd like to play another video, and before I do that, Your Honor, I would ask the court respectfully if you could turn up the volume and make the video easier to listen to, because that's outside our control. At this time, I'd like to play Exhibit B1, and I'm playing from the 28 minutes, 59 seconds to 30 minutes and 31 seconds, and also referring to Exhibit D, the transcript, page 41, line 1 through page 43, line 1.
I don't know what happened before I got here, before when I did get here. I just really had to stay under myself. You also had. How about we all you put your knives over here, we'll work right now, with the exception of one thing back. And we will talk. Hey, and I'll tell you this though, this is what we will do. You, everybody else. We're going to put those knives up, and that one of us, that's young, makes you don't have any weapons, and we go from there. So that's what's going to happen. I'm just being honest with you, At this point, we do. At this point, we do. I'm not. At this point, we're conversing. At this point, we're conversing. I'm trying to figure out, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Hey, how are we going to resolve this? Bob? How are we going to resolve this? How are we going to resolve it? Tell me.
Now, there came a point when tactical officers arrived and removed the field officers, including the open space officers, from their interaction with James Boyd. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when they did so, you were brought down the hill, so to speak, to the service road.
Yes.
Now, when you were at the service road, did you have an opportunity to talk to a canine officer named Officer Ken Ronzone?
Yes.
And, you know, again, we're going to play the video of your interaction with him, but did you speak to Ken Ronzone and tell him what happened?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to play Exhibit B1B, which is, again, Officer McDaniel's taser camera video. And we're playing from the 27 minutes, 28 seconds to the end of this video that is already admitted into evidence.
Your Honor,
Excuse me, Louis. Can you
may we pause it for a moment?
I'm sorry?
May we approach?
Yes.
because I've forgotten if I announced exactly what I'm playing from that exhibit. I'm playing from the 27 minutes, 28 seconds to the end of that video.
Okay?
What happened is, we got to the camp, and he was still for the camp, and so that's whenever I drew out, and then he gets out of the tent, and I went to try to pat him down, and I went to try to pat him down, and when he pulled out, so he put out his knife on us, and we backed off from having a gunpoint, and we tried to kill her. Call came in, some of the people don't know where you cut through the yard, saying there could be something out here. Yeah. Well, he's loading that tent. I couldn't see one hand. I kept telling him, let me see your hand, let me see your hand. And so then I pulled my handgun out, and then he brings his hand out, and he starts to get up, and I told him to pat him down for the weapon, but he and I was in the spot right there. I was going to go for it, and as soon as he saw me trying to go to pat him down, then he pulled out.